doing a 15-minute presentation today on CSS, cascading style sheets, which CSS stands for. When we're talking about new languages, we're discussing new languages. The first thing you want to understand is the syntax. I mentioned this before. Syntax. It's very simple with CSS. Syntax comes down to selectors and declarations. Okay, selectors, declarations. The selectors are your HTML tags, like the H1 tag. Okay, that's what you call a selector. You're selecting the element from the HTML page, your HTML page. You're selecting which one you want to style. So in this scenario, we're selecting the H1 tag. With the H1 tag, H1 paragraph tag, H1. Okay. The thing you got to remember with the one thing you got to remember with the H1 selectors, when you're selecting the H1, you're selecting a tag specifically. So if you select H1, all the H1s are going to do what you tell it to do. Okay? Selector, you're selecting the H1 tag. Next, the declaration. Okay? Syntax, inside brackets, that's where the declaration goes. Open and close brackets. Then you got your value, your property. In this scenario, we got color. And then the value of that color is separated by a colon. So color is blue, and then the next property is separated by a semicolon. Okay? So one property to the next separated by a semicolon, property separated from the value by a colon. And then you end it with a close bracket. So you got declarations, selectors. That's all you have to remember for syntax for CSS. Okay? But with the selectors, there's more than one way to select an HTML element. Okay? You have, if you remember your CSS, your HTML, you have classes, you have IDs, and you have, you have IDs, you have classes, and you have the tags. Okay, if you can group sections. So say if you want to select an H1 and a paragraph and a class and an ID, you could separate them with commas. Right here, use commas to separate selectors, group selectors. So if you know all your HTML elements are going to have a certain type of background or a certain type of border, then you can group them together by H1, paragraph, comma, and this. Okay? Then, by separating them by commas, you're telling them all of them are going to be getting these properties and value changes. Okay? So that's the first part we have to discuss, syntax. Remember, selectors, declarations. Selectors, you're pointing to either like the class, whatever you selected from the HTML element, then you got your properties, values, separated by semicolons and colons. Comments. Comments, all important comments, are initiated with a front slash and an asterisk, and then ended with the asterisk front slash. Okay? So anything inside of these two strings are going to be considered comments and be not part of your code. Important as the same thing with HTML, you got to use as many comments as you can to help describe what you're doing inside your code. There's with the selectors, there's things you do by selecting all. So if you select if you use a hashtag or octothorpe, you're going to be selecting the ID. So whatever the ID of your HTML, we'll just call it hi, it doesn't really matter. Hello. Okay, because your IDs are going to be named whatever their name is. The IDs are octothorpe class period. Okay, so if you want to select all within an element, you can use just the asterisk pages with the universal selector. You're going to do the asterisk. So you can do this asterisk, and then the declaration, and that's going to apply to everything on the page. That's an all. Good for selectors, comments. How to? There's a couple ways, or three different ways you're going to apply your CSS to your HTML. There's internal, there's external, and inline. It's almost as easy as 1, 2, 3. We got an inline first. Yes, inline. So you're going to include the property and the value inside the div as an attribute using the style attribute. When you use the style attribute, you're applying CSS as an inline. That's how you're applying your CSS. Inline. This is called inline. The second way to do it is internal, inside the head. And then inside the style tag, that's where you're going to put you use your selectors and everything else. You're gonna start writing in here. Okay, so that's how you're gonna do it as an internal style sheet. It's got to go inside the head and inside the style tag. Inside the style tag, inside the head. That's where you're going to put your CSS. Then finally, external. Inside of your head, it's going to go inside of your head as well. And then you're gonna reference the file that you're using as an external file for the CSS. So wherever you save your file or CSS, because it's the same thing as the HTML, you're going to save that file, that .html file. You're going to save it on your desktop or wherever you save all your pages. The same place you have that HTML file, you're going to save the CSS styles.css, or maybe whatever your name is, you can name it .css, because it's a CSS file. So that link is going to be typed in right here. Whatever the address is to your style sheet, wherever your link your file is, you're going to type that right here in the reference page. Inside quotes, and then close the link, and that will attach all the styles you have inside the sheet to your HTML. And that's how you link it. The model, the CSS box model, kind of goes over like the invisible lines of the content, your object, your content. The margin. Okay? These are imaginary boxes around your items that can be adjusted. Okay? The margin goes all the way to the margin of the page. Your border goes around the element, and the padding is between the border and the word. So if you need padding inside of the items or even the border, if you have multiple items of multiple buttons, the padding is going to adjust how far they are between each other. But yeah, that's something to remember. That's called the box model. All HTML elements that you can consider a box are considered as boxes. All the elements are just basically boxes. The term box model is used when talking about design and layout. Okay. These are important though. These are important to understand how they work, because if the page isn't quite looking right, it's likely because of either the padding, boarding, or margin. Something might be off. It helps to adjust the background color. Change the color, it's the color of the text. Background color is background. So you got to be specific about what you're trying to change in CSS with the background. The horizontal alignment of your text. Okay, it could be left to right aligned, justified left to right, or centered. Okay, it's just like any other word processor that you use normally. It's the same thing. Text align is the property you're going to use to adjust that. So it'd be text align. Don't forget when you're using with the selectors and the selectors, then the values of the properties. Properties of text align. So, dang. Okay, this is a lot. This one's going to be a lot of editing. Okay, text align. When you're using CSS, there's no spaces between the fuck. Property and value, dude. Property and value. Property and value. Property and value. Rounded borders, margins, margin collapse, padding, height and width, box model, outline, shorthand of the text align. Text align. Property, value. Property, value. Okay? When you're using properties, you have to use a hyphen if it's two words. So background color, don't do background color space background color. You can do background with a hyphen color. Okay? And then you make a black or whatever you want to do. And then semicolon end space. And then bracket or whatever at H. All it is have background black color. Okay? That's what you're gonna use. You don't forget to use a hyphen, or else if you don't use a hyphen in between the words, it's not gonna work. You'll get an error. So there you go. Text decoration. You can decorate your text. You can change your gradients. You can change the underline or italics. But it's not recommended to underline. It's not a good idea to design your text with underlines and CSS, because that's what links are. The links are naturally have the default with a link is with the underline. So if for whatever reason you remove it, add it, you can do it like that. But it's suggested not to just because of the links. All the links are underlined. The difference between serif and sans serif is the little tickly things, the little lines. This text up here, that's sans serif without the little ticks. Okay, this serif. Okay, there's purposes for those types of text or those types of fonts. Some of them are meant to grab your attention, and some are meant to be easier to read. Okay, so when you do the font family, they say it's a good idea to break it down to multiple different types list different types of names within that font family down to the font family itself, because if the browser doesn't support that font, you won't be in control. So if you put Arial or like this is at Times New Roman, Times, and then serif, if one isn't working, it's going to default down to the next one, then to the next one. So just keep in mind that will happen. Links. There's a lot of different ways to style links. It comes down to your okay. How about this? If you have any questions regarding the links, or if there's something specific you're trying to do, if there's something specific you're trying to do, throw a comment down below, and then I'll go over it. That way it works, or that way we can get it. What you're trying to do, get it on the 15-minute friends. Go ahead and send a comment, right? Throw a comment. Next, background colors, no. Link buttons.